And in keeping with the topic of education for our youth, let's go ahead and have a conversation about teens and money. See, the question regards how to talk to your teens about money, savings, and finances. I mean, would it surprise you to learn that only 1/3 of teens say their family regularly talks about investing? This is one of the results of Fidelity's Teens and Money study. Joining us now to discuss the study findings and how parents can start conversations with their teens about money is John Baroff, Vice President of Youth Investing at Fidelity Investments.
Content segments during Valley Por Vida were paid for by Fidelity Investments.
Money conversations can be difficult, and when it's a parent talking to their teens, it could be that they don't want to expose too much, especially if they've had any sort of financial difficulty, or it could be that they're not fully confident in their own financial skill set and they're not thinking that they're going to be able to pass on good money habits. In either event, it's one of the reasons why at Fidelity we focus so much attention on creating educational materials that are specifically designed for teens and their parents. And it's also why when we launched the Fidelity Youth Account last year, a saving, spending, and investing account for teens aged 13 to 17, we made sure that parents had the ability to monitor activity in the account. And what that does is every time something happens in the account, it's another opportunity for a family conversation around money. And we've seen over and over again, when families are talking about money, they have better outcomes and more confidence all the way around. That's going to depend on the teen and their situation, but we do know that it's important for teens to start to get exposed to some of these smart investing concepts early. And we also know that teens tend to learn better by doing. I'll use the analogy of driving. Teens don't learn to drive in a classroom and then immediately go take their road exam. They typically spend many hours behind the wheel with a parent or another trusted adult in the passenger seat to give guidance. And we look at investing very much the same way. It's really important to have that guided experience available as a teen. Yeah, unfortunately, we saw that teen girls reported having fewer family conversations around money and investing specifically. And as a result, they had lower levels of confidence and they were more likely to think that investing is out of reach for them. They did have high levels of confidence around saving and spending, and surprisingly, they were actually more likely to know that teens could trade stocks. But the real takeaway is that if you've got a teen girl in your life, it's really important to have conversations around money because that's what's going to help reverse this trend we've seen of lagging confidence in teen girls. Yeah, it can be difficult, but something that's important to remember is it's okay to admit what you don't know. It can actually be a really fun exercise to go through and learn with your teen and get up to speed on some of the concepts that you're not as well versed on. And a great place to focus is on their goals. So if they're looking at short-term goals like a pair of shoes that they're interested in, or something a little further out like saving for their first car, establish what their goals are, come up with a plan to achieve those goals, and then monitor your progress against the plan. And something else that can be helpful is something like the Fidelity Youth Account, where you can actually educate yourself by accessing educational content, and then come up with a plan for how you're going to put that content to use, whether it's researching investment options or looking at debit card transactions in the account to come up with a smart spending plan, or actually going ahead and purchasing securities. And the great news is for a limited time, your teen may be eligible for a $50 deposit from Fidelity to help jumpstart their financial journey. There are terms that apply, but there are no minimums and there are no fees or costs associated for you or your teen. The best place to start is fidelity.com/youth.
Content segments during Valley Por Vida were paid for by Fidelity Investments.
We hope you've learned a few new things about and are able to indeed implement some of these tips into your own family life at home, of course. For more information, like they said, you can visit their team and see all they have to say. They welcome you to their website. That's fidelity.com/youth. Of course, there are many things to learn about when it comes to the topic of investing, no matter what age. So let's try and break down just a few more helpful tips that we can all keep in mind. So according to Forbes.com, we should start investing with a game plan. What this means is we've got to do our research and then jump into the process. The site says that, for example, if our goal is to save $100,000 in 10 years, then we've got to figure out how much we're going to need to set aside to achieve this. It's all about planning ahead. The site also recommends for us to diversify when engaging in investing. So just try out more than just the stock market, rather, once you've educated yourself a bit more. It outlines that we shouldn't just try to get rich quick by only investing in a few stocks. Rather, we should learn and look at long-term plans and have a diverse portfolio of stocks, bonds, and other assets. It also says that it's a good idea for us to define our goals. Exactly. So whether we're trying to buy a home or collect our assets with low risk, we need to just have a clear picture in mind of what it is we're trying to do, not just a broad thought of making money. And since investing can be tough, the site recommends that we remind ourselves of our commitment to our goals. Whether we're in it for the short term or long term, we've got to stick it out to completion and just be patient. It's an up and down game, but we know that going in, so we got to just power through and not give up the first time that we lose out. But even if you do go through one of those downs, the site urges that we should not panic. It's okay. It's gonna happen. That's just part of the deal. Don't think you've got to sell everything or get out, the moment stocks have moved down. I mean, it just says that if we do see prices drop 20% in a single day, well, we might want to reevaluate the option of selling, but after research and not just a quick decision that we made out of panic. The site also outlines that we even go after doing everything regarding self-education. I mean, we should probably just try to stick to one strategy. While there are certainly lots of ways to go about investing, we should try to focus on one pattern and methodology that we think has a pretty good chance at making money for us over time. And again, just be consistent with it. And maybe take time to discuss the pros and cons of your decisions with a professional advisor or maybe a trusted family member or friend for guidance on making an educated decision for your financial future. And even if we think that we might understand a certain way that a stock may work, let's try and double check to make sure that we've got it right. The site actually outlines that we should only buy if we really understand it. Because again, getting rich quick ideas can only take us so far. And the site shows us how a balanced approach can really help us improve our retirement plans by far. So be sure to invest in balanced funds systematically for best results over time. All right, that's all we've got for now. Thanks again so much, and we'll see you next time on Valley Por Vida.